Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm the founder of the Bobby White Foundation, along here with my co-host.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bonnie Snyder.
So you had a busy afternoon.
Busy afternoon.
Yeah, me too. I've been here at the studio. We did a segment for the foundation and the gallery and Art for Hope for Tampa Bay Business Connections. And should be on set with our producer and Mark O'Donnell for RGA at the same time. Oh boy, oh boy.
I don't know that I want to do all. I don't want to do all that. But speaking of our producer, as always, we want to thank John and Rob for giving us this platform. Here at WeBeam TV.
Yeah, John actually interviewed me for the segment.
I bet that was interesting.
Oh, he has so much energy. I'm like, okay, we're a little bit low key on our show, but no, it was great. It was nice. Of course, I've known John for so long, but it was fun. It was actually the first time I think he's interviewed me. So I don't know. It'll air sometime next week. I don't know when for sure, but yeah, we want to thank John and Rob because without them we wouldn't even be here anyways. But you can also help us through our kindest fundraising effort. There's many levels of whatever you feel comfortable. Donation
levels.
Well, it's like, I'm just like, okay, what is the word? Whatever you feel comfortable donating to help support our show. And of course, we got our T-shirts. We have a website landing page you can go to and order them. Or I also have them available at the foundation office. Usually, I carry around 2 bags in my truck. So I've got the men's T-shirts and the women's T-shirts, so they're always with me. But if you go on the website there, the webpage, and you're not here locally, then you can order the T-shirts and they'll send them to you wherever you are. So that's a good way to help us out, help the show out, and not just that, but get the word out of what we're trying to do, and you can be a part of it too.
And I noticed on the as Rob was scrolling that we have new designs.
Are the new designs up there?
Oh, cool. There were just the new designs.
Rob,
can you go
that.
back? Is that the new design?
That's the new design. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I noticed it last week.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to get a hold of him and see if my email came through that we can get because we're supposed to have some in the office. I never noticed that.
Oh, I noticed it last week, and
You did?
And we were, what I took away from last week, or for me, the takeaway from last week, we were busy, getting, recentered in the studio with everything that was going on, and, talking about all the different events and whatnot. That I was like, oh my gosh, look, there's the new designs around.
Oh my gosh!
And my brain just didn't process to say, oh, by the way, Tammy, I love the new designs.
I have to go back through my emails and see if they've notified me that we have ours available. Well, at least that's good to know, because when we're out at these upcoming events, we'll have them,
right,
and they'll be available. So, hey, guess what? You could probably go to the website and get the new designs before us.
That would be something.
Oh, that's good. No, I'm glad. I've been waiting for that new design, and I'm excited about that. Because it has actually, the foundation logo. This first design, we did for our Purple Folder program. And so it was important for us to do this design first. And I've been thinking about, because the colors for suicide awareness is purple and turquoise. So maybe getting an option of having the turquoise T-shirt with the purple. Mm. So that may be the next thing that we can do. So yeah. Oh, now that's got my mind going in a different direction.
You're welcome.
Oh my my gosh. Yeah, it's hard enough to stay focused. Squirrel,
You know, and the fact that this show is, you know, guys, you know, this show is just so unscripted. You know, you never know what might come out of our mouths sometimes.
No, it's much better that way. I don't think we couldn't do a scripted show if our life depended on it anyway.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we have a little bit of
Well,
structure,
yeah.
but unscripted. We
Yeah.
have unscripted structure. That's the term for
Well,
us.
mostly. Mostly. It doesn't always work that way, but yeah, oh, that's funny.
The structure or the unscripted? Because I'm like, I consider us
No,
a
totally.
little structured.
Well,
Totally
we're-
unscripted, but
Yeah, well, maybe a little structure, but we still fall off of our structure thing a lot. But
it is our structure, though.
you got a point. I like that. Okay,
That's how
I
we
can go.
structure this. That's how we structure this. So.
Oh, that is too funny. Oh, well, that's great. Well, we do have a lot going on, and we're gonna we want to talk about that too, and we're gonna go get back to our book.
Yes.
And I noticed, which is kind of a good thing, because we want to talk about all these events going on to support our foundation, but also what we're going to be supporting out in the community in the next month or so, and that's real important. So the chapter in here is a little short, and usually by the end of our show we're like scrambling because we look up and it's like, oh no, we only got a couple minutes left. So maybe we can get through this chapter and do everything that we.
Well, you know, the other thing too is, you know, this is just me. I tend not to gauge the conversation by the length of the chapter.
Oh, I
because
don't
what
either. But
and here's why: because what I find is there are times that it's a short chapter, but it's a topic that's so broad.
True.
And this particular, you know, and we'll get to it. This particular chapter, it's like you're right. Like, are we? Oh no, but the topic.
But
is,
the topic, yeah.
is you could fill it up. But anyway, speaking of events, what do we got coming up?
Okay, well, and it was funny when we were on Tampa Bay Business Connections, we were talking about painting with a purpose. And of course, our producer, John, was interviewing me, so we brought up, you know, we're part of one of the areas, painting spots, is going to be here at the studio. So we're doing our Painting with a Purpose, October 21st. There's a couple ways that you can get to it to sign up. Now, it's Painting with a Purpose Trinity. It's actually, I take that back, Painting with a Twist Trinity.
And the event is
Painting with a Purpose. And it's October 21st from 7 to 9 p.m. But there's so many ways that you can participate. And I've put on the foundation Facebook page and on our new website the 3 different ways that you can participate and direct links to sign up for each one. So the first one is Painting with the Purpose at the Trinity, Painting with a Twist. And then the second one is, they have it labeled Painting with a Purpose Home. So that is, you sign up for that, you'll get your kit, and you have 2 choices. You can come here to the studio and paint with a group of gals here. Our producer's wife, DeLynn, who's also on our committee for Art for Hope, and she's been with me from the very beginning of all of this. Her and Bonnie's going to be in charge of that one. I wish I was going to be a fly on the wall here. I'll be at the one in Trinity. And you can either come here and paint, or we've been trying, and another one of our committee members and friends, she's getting a bunch of girlfriends together, and they're going to meet at one of their homes, and they're going to do it virtually with us from there. So that's another way you can do it. If you don't feel comfortable, you know, coming out, you know, to our studio at the mall or the Painting with a Twist in Trinity. And then also, and now this one is really important because the deadline's coming up here really fast, and it's so that we can make sure that we get the kits to you. And that is, and I can't remember now how they named it. It's the last one on the calendar. It's Painting with a Purpose. shipped, I think is how they put it. So what you do, you go on there and you sign up and register and pay them, and then you can either email me or call me and say, hey, look, I just did this. How do I pay for my shipping? And we're going to run it through our PayPal account. I think I don't know if you can just put in the foundation name or Tammy at BobbyWhiteFoundation.org, and the shipping is $13.65. And I'll go there and I'll pick it up and we'll ship it to you so you have it in time. So the deadline is October 1st. And I hesitate to say this, but we can stretch it out to the 6th. But try and meet the deadline by the 1st, because they need a week to put the kits together, and we want to make sure that we get them shipped to you in time.
Now, I'm sure some people will have a question, because my understanding is the kits that are being shipped, those individuals may not necessarily be in studio, here or at the Painting with a Twist studio, or doing a home, at home, again for comfort levels, and watching it virtually. Those kits come with a video that shows you how to do it.
Right.
And I guess the question that I'm sure, that's come up to me, and I was like, that is a good question. What if, I missed the October 1st or 6th deadline, but I still want to get I still want to do the artwork and have it shipped. Can we do that after?
Yes, I'm going to make sure that you can get it and you can participate. I'm going to try and talk to him to see if maybe the either the pickup kits at home or the shipped kits, we can extend that date. I know, I had one earlier. It'll be gone soon. But particularly the shipped ones, I think that we can keep that open until the date, to the 21st, when we have the in-person thing. And even the ones that you pick up for the home version kits, and say you can't make it to the studio, you're local, but you can't make it to the studio here, or you can't make it to the Painting with a Twist studio, your kits come with a video also. So you can, and say you still want to get a bunch of people together, or maybe you want to do it on your own. Mm-hmm. You can still purchase the kit, and you'll get emailed the video, so you'll have the instruction video, and you can do it whenever you want. Right. That way you can still be part of the fundraiser. And something to remember, the kits are $48, but 50% of that goes back to the foundation. So, and we picked the neon dragonfly because of the significance of, what we're doing. A lot of people feel that, and I do, and you do, we've both had experiences with dragonflies, that, it's part of the spiritual part of the person, that we may have lost. And it's also means hope, love, and change. And, that's all a part of what we're doing too. So however you choose to participate, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's just no way it's not. So I'm
definitely looking forward
getting
to
excited about it. And if anybody has any questions on how to sign up, or, anything about it, you can contact me at the foundation. You can either email me or you can call me, and we'll get it squared away so it's easy and comfortable for you, and you can have fun too. 'Cause I guarantee we're going to have fun.
Well, we are definitely going to have fun.
So that's going to be October 21st. And that, like I said, that is a fundraiser for us. It's kind of like, it's one of our pop-up events for Art for Hope. And I'm getting the Art for Hope webpage hopefully soon. Working on that through October, getting it populated with artwork that'll be available for sale for the fundraiser, and then also have artwork up there. Oh, I didn't change that. I did get the new art for that doesn't have proof only on it, and the postcards I will have Friday.
Nice.
for everybody, so we'll have them for our events. But anyways, we'll get the Art for Hope page, that page populated with artwork and artwork for sale, and then artwork that'll be previewed for our November 17th live auction. And we got some things to work out for that, but that'll be coming soon. So a lot going on. And then now, events that we're supporting others in our community and also helping get the word out about our foundation. And 2 of them are on the same day. So the first one we have, which a couple of weeks ago we had Kim on from Pasco Parks and Recreation, and their event, I think it's going to be a really big and a really great event. And if the weather keeps turning like it was today, it'll be a really nice day. Mm-hmm. So their event is out at Withlacoochee River Park in Dade City, and it is Stomp Out Suicide, a 5K and 1 mile trail race and walk. And I can't wait to go out there to see that park because, you know, I've lived here for 30 years and I've never been to that park.
I've been to that park on a couple of occasions, you know, supporting, you know, stuff for Kim and, you know, for the Parks and Recreation. You know, a lot of family-orientated events out there. They did one, it was Family Fishing Day, where, you know, but like I said, it's the venue for this particular, you know, walk run. It's a perfect venue, a lot of scenery, you know, perfect place to put, you know, for vendors and food trucks and everything else that they're going to have out there. And, you know, in talking to Kim, I mean, the intention for this is to make this an annual event. So this is their, you know, inaugural, you know, 5K 1 mile trail. And it came about, you know, there's a difference between, and I'm going to say it's also true for us, when, you know, here is a cause, you know, or something, and, you know, we look at, you know, this also being, you know, Suicide Awareness Month, that we know about these causes, we know about these epidemics, we know about these issues that affect us as a community. And, you know, we're passionate about them and we become involved. It hits a whole nother level when the issue, whatever it is, becomes personal.
Exactly.
And, you know, with Parks and Recreation, you know, they lost a team member, you know, to suicide. You know, like I said, you know, just for me personal, I remember, you know, getting the phone call that, you know, the death had happened and, you know, calling Kim immediately, you know, like, of course, you know, we're like, well, I don't want to say what some people like, well, these are the silly things to say, how are you feeling, you know, but at the same time, you know, hey, we're here, you know, to offer our support. And, you know, I want to do something, you know, as was the Parks and Recreation's, you know, position on us. We want to do something. We're just not sure what we want to do right now, you know, kind of brainstorming, and this is what they came up with. And, you know, to me, a walk or a run has its both have, as for me, it has a symbolism, but it's also very therapeutic and cathartic at the same way. You know,
exactly.
the symbolism of we're on this journey together, let's walk it. But, you know, that part that's therapeutic and cathartic is like, oh my gosh, I know how I feel after, you know, a walk, or not that I've ran in a long time. But, you know, I remember, you know, back when I used to run, you know, 10, 12 miles a day, and I was like, I remember at the end of a run, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. So this is, I think this is a perfect event, and this is not the only event that, you know, they're wanting to do.
They're all excited to partner, you know, with us and other organizations. Just really to, you know, like we said, have said so many times, that this is something that not one organization can handle on its own. This takes all of us, and a lot of us, because it is too enormous, it's too complex, and, you know, I've been working at this for 3 years, you know, and like with them, I came to it because it was extremely personal, you know, same with you. This is why we do what we do. And, but it seems that, and sometimes, especially in the beginning, you kind of, I mean, I have felt like, you know, even though we're making headway and I'm being told that, you know, but in my head, it's like, oh man, it's like, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels, you know, even though people are saying, oh, Tammy, what you guys are doing is great. And, you know, look how far you've come. Look how far the foundation has come. And, you know, in a short period of time, you know, we've only been around 3 years. But I'm always the one that thinks, you know, we at 3 years, we should be how we probably will be in 10 or 15 years, you know. That's just me. But now I even see a little bit more traction with organizations starting to work together, organizations starting to know that each organization is there. And this is going to be really great with Parks and Rec because, you know, with the mental health part of it and how great it is to be outdoors and doing things and doing, you know, physical things and all the things that are offered and how all of our organizations can partner with them to bring even smaller mini events and, you know, to keep things steady throughout the year and hopefully do another larger event on our side of the county because our county is ginormous. And it is kind of split in half from the east side to the west side. But, and here, and it's good that they're doing this one over there because we do have the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Out of the Darkness Walk on this side. And that's going to be, I think it's November 13th at Sims Park. And we'll bring more information as that gets a little bit closer, and we'll have a couple of the gals on that's on that committee for that. So they have that over here. So it's great that this is being, you know, the first one is being brought over to Dade City because it kind of shares, you know.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, our county is huge, and you know, with that hugeness comes a diversity, and so the demographics, you know, on the west side, you know, are very different. You know, where we are on the west side, very different than that on the east side. You know, and again, I, you know, to echo what you said, I like the idea that they're doing a walk run on that side of the county, and then, oh, by the way, we're doing the walk on this side. And I was like, well, are you saying that the people on the east side like to run and us on the west side don't? And it's not about,
It's not
about that because, you know, even though it's called the Out of Darkness Walk, I mean, I've seen some joggers come out and jog the trail, you know, but that's just what it's been called.
Yeah,
for
that's
years.
just the way what it has been.
And I agree with you. You know, the fact that we're bringing so many, you know, that the agencies are coming together, and like with this particular walk, you know, or the event for Parks and Recreation, I love how they've, you know, like titled it or identified it, Recreate Your Mind.
Yes.
Or, you know, now people look at us like, are they saying recreate or are they saying recreate?
Well, they're actually saying both.
Right. And then, you know, precisely, it's like recreate my mind. What does that mean? You know, and I you know, when I look at, you know, from, you know, the therapeutic side, you know, the mental health side of it, you know, how people need something to focus on, a coping mechanism, a strategy, you know, something to gravitate to when they're feeling, you know, whether it, you know, any kind of negative emotion. And so when, you know, when Kim said, you know, we're calling this, you know, recreate your mind, I'm like, recreate? That's like, whose brainchild was that? You know, I thought that was like, that's just perfect. Because it's not just, you know, for me anyway, it doesn't just only equate to Parks and Recreation. You know, we can recreate, you know, or recreate our mind, you know, hanging out with friends, doing what we do, listening to music, going on a walk or a run, you know, painting, So yeah, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Now that starts at 8 o'clock on October 16th, and I think it runs until noon. So you and I are going to be over there, and you're going to be over there as a dual capacity person.
I am a dual capacity person. Yes, I'll be wearing 2 hats.
So we're going to be over there that Saturday morning, and then I'm coming back over to the west side, and at 2 o'clock starts the 2021 Red, White, and Back the Blue event. And that event starts at 2 o'clock, and a couple of our committee members are going to be there setting up, before that for us, because there's no way I'm going to get back in time to this side. But other committee members will be there throughout the day as long as, and I will also. And that's going to be a really, really good event. And I said it last time, I was going to have the names of all 3 bands that were playing, and I forgot. But I know one of them is the Bearded Brothers, which is a huge local band here. And I think the music starts around 6:30, but throughout the day they're going to have basket raffles. There's going to be a kid zone. You can get food from Guild. It's going to be at Guild Dogs on the water there, which is a really, really nice venue.
Popular venue.
Yeah,
Popular
it's a
spot.
real nice, very popular venue. And so that event runs until 10 o'clock. Don't know how long we'll say. We'll probably end up getting a second wind and end up staying until 10 o'clock because I know the music's going to be really good. So there's going to be a lot going on from 2 o'clock until the music starts kicking in, and that's to support our law enforcement and first responders. And, we've talked about before how, not only are they at high risk, but they're the ones on the front lines of these events also. I had mentioned our Sheriff Noco. He was the first responder at my house that day, and several of those officers that came worked with my nephew. My nephew was a Pasco County Sheriff for 7 years, and so it's it's important for our foundation to support them, also. Plus, I have a nephew who is a police officer in Texas, and he just got promoted to SWAT team too. So it's, it hits close to home on several levels here, for us.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, retired military police. So it's like, but to your point, the fact that first responders, already are dealing with the stress of the job, and then, I think about in my case, where, I will never forget, the officer who responded, to my home to tell me, about Patrick. And, it's like, is she going to hit me? Is she going to, how is, like, they don't know how, our survivors going to respond to the news that your loved one is gone. And I didn't hit him. I think I remember, like pounding my wall for a moment. It was more of a, frustration pound than a, put my fist to the wall, kind of thing. And then I turned around and, he's standing there. I just remember him, giving me a hug, and it's like, I'm like, okay. And his supervisor, he's going to stay here with you until victim advocate gets here. And I'm like, what? In that moment, I'm like, what? And he goes, I'm not going to leave you alone. And I'm like, doesn't he have work to do? So one of those things like, doesn't he have work to do? And I don't think I really verbalized, like, don't you have, other patrols to do? And I think maybe in my head I was processing, but he's got other stuff to do, like, we were looking for my son, you found my son, you connected me with the coroner, the medical examiner. Isn't your job, let me rephrase that. Other people might think your job is done here. But knowing how they wear so many different hats, there's the law enforcement piece of it, there's the community, liaison piece of it, and then there is that compassionate piece of, dealing with those of us. And I remember telling his supervisor later, and I'm like, you have no idea how much that meant to me. And I can imagine, taking the stress of the job home plus, he looked at me, he says, unfortunately, what number did he tell me? You are my 4th death notification within the last couple of days. And I'm looking at him like, what? He's like, you are the 4th. And, I'm processing like, my God, to be the person who has to deliver the news, and, console the family or, like, I don't want to get hit. I understand why you're hitting me, but please don't hit me. And then going home and it's like, today I had to break that awful news to somebody. So yeah, it is important to support, first responders, and they really appreciate it too. One of the organizations that I work with, we did a banner, several banners for, like our local hospital and first responders and whatnot, and where people who survived, like overdoses and whatnot. Thank you for saving my life. And then this banner, says just that, thank you for saving my life. And, when this banner was presented to them, there were, of course, there was a lot of gratitude, but there was also like a bunch of tears because it's like we only see the negative side of things. We only see the overdoses. We only see the death. We only see the, you could, list out all of the different negatives. You have no idea how much it means to us to get something like this, which is a positive, basically thanking us, for what we, for what we do. Because a lot of times they are getting, having things thrown at them, shot at, cursed out, everything else. And so, it is important to say thank you.
Yeah, it is. And so, and also with our purple folders, they are available at the Newport Richey Police Department, Port Richey Police Department, and Dade City Police Department. And the Sheriff's Office has begun a little bit referring, to our foundation, which is really great. So, so it's important to, being out in the community, which is something that I've always done just with my, regular business with the gallery and supporting, everybody else and what they do. And now it's, we're on both sides of it, and it's really kind of hard even still with COVID still the way that it is. All these events pretty much, the events on the 16th are all outdoor events. So everybody will be as safe as they can be. And then our event on the 21st, the Painting with a Purpose, that's why we're spreading it out and offering so many different ways to participate so that everybody can participate and still stay safe. And, that's first and foremost. That's why we didn't have our big one-night event this year again. To keep our fingers crossed next year we'll be able to have it because it'll be our 5th annual Art for Hope. So that's going to be pretty big. And, we've only, even though, we've had, this is our 4th annual, but half of them have been virtual because of the craziness in our world right now. So keep our fingers crossed. We will. I think it'll be better next year, and then it'll make our 5th annual just a great big bash.
I mean, let's look at it. What's the name of our show? It starts off with hope.
Hope.
You know, so
Exactly.
there's always, and we end the show
So,
with there's always hope. So,
Hey, and with me around there always is, because that's my maiden name. And a lot of people don't know that. But,
yes.
but yeah, it's really kind of odd because it does it, and it brings everything like in a weird way kind of full circle. You know, because I left when I was a young teen, and I've been married, and I dropped my maiden name like as soon as I could. I don't know how I do know why, but and then now it's everything. So many things I do. Like half of my world is it's going back to hope. So which is good. It was fun when I was a kid. We used to tell people that we were related to Bob Hope. Which I don't think we were, but
But it's a good story.
It's a good story when you're a kid. So
Like, you want to dispute it? My name's Hope. His name's Hope.
Yeah. Well, and back then you didn't have an easy way to find out for sure the truth. So, anyways, yeah, we didn't have the DNA testing that we could go back and.
No. I mean, even with DNA does not even matter anymore. I said it. It's
true.
And that's a really nice segue. I said it. Are you going to challenge it? And what's the chapter? Disbelief.
Disbelief. So that is too funny.
It's kind of that's a nice segue into this chapter. Like Tammy started out when we were talking about this. It is a short chapter, but at the same time, disbelief is so central to this issue of loss and grief, and dealing with what we deal with when we lose somebody, and I like the beginning quote, and it's an unknown author that says, "Sometimes your heart needs more time to accept what your mind already knows." And I think, for me, when I read that quote, it made a lot of sense to me, because I sit back and I think sometimes, with grief and loss and, and tragedy and, stuff like that is, you hear the expression, of people sometimes, he or she died from a broken heart, or this event happened because the person had a broken heart. And so I think with that in our minds, we process the loss, but we refuse to, it's like, oh, my head is okay. I could be hard-headed. I can't be hard-hearted, if that makes sense. I can allow my brain to process, say, the loss at this level, but, to have it, travel down and hit that heart, it makes me think of, I jokingly talk to some of my students, or people that I'm working with, the joke about we don't listen to country music because people think, country music is just, who listens to country? That's just the worst genre of music. But anyway, it makes me think of a Billy Ray Cyrus song, Achy Breaky Heart.
Breaky Heart, yeah.
Where he says, you can tell this person, or you could tell my Aunt Louise, tell anyone you please, or tell your brother Cliff, whose fist can meet my lip. He didn't like me anyway, but just don't tell my achy breaky heart, because it just might blow up. And it's such a a cutesy, uplifting, funny kind of song on one level. However, if you really sit down and process, what is this song actually saying? It is, my heart or my head may accept the fact that you've left me. In this particular case, it was, a love interest leaving, my heart will process this, but if you tell my heart is not going to be able to take it. And I'm like, Billy Ray, I don't know if you're the one that wrote the song, but it is so fitting for, any loss.
Well, and that's true. And broken heart syndrome is an actual syndrome. it is there are real physical ramifications from that. Yeah, and years ago, one of my aunts passed away in a tragic car accident. It was just horrible for our family. I think it was the first real, except for what happened to me when I was a kid with my first husband, but as far as my family goes, first really tragic death that we had, even considering as large as our family is on my mom's side. But my uncle, her husband, he passed away several years later, but the time that he was here, he ended up breaking his hip, but he actually, and we all believe this, that he actually died from a broken heart.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think broken heart syndrome has hit the DSM yet.
No, it hasn't. It should here pretty soon.
Well, I believe, like me personally, I look at it in terms of, people giving up. It's like, I can't live. This person isn't here anymore. I can't live.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, I think goes back to this, whole concept of, disbelief. Like as we're looking at what does, disbelief look and feel like, for example, where it says maintaining your life as if the person was still there. And I've seen this a lot in, people outside of my family, but if I bring it back to even my own family, I know for me, it took me a while before I can go into Patrick's room. But it was funny because I want to say so he was August, September, October, November. So I want to say it was like almost 3 months after Patrick's passing. I was forced to go into his room. It wasn't a planned thing. Like before that, I very rarely would go to that side of my house. Or if I did walk down the hallway, I'd, get this little ping, like, oh, my gosh, I know he's not in there. But when Evan Axelbank did the interview, and again, it was skillful the way he did it, he has, where's his room at? And, you want to see his room. And I just, remember, if you ever watched the interview, but I remember, well, his room's here. And I had this, box that had all of his, puzzles and dominoes and stuff in it. And I kind of went into this fog of sorts. I mean, I was conscious that this interview was going on. And I just started picking up, like his puzzle pieces, like, oh, these are his dominoes. And these are his, all the while I was not really paying attention to the fact that his camera, it was a female, that the camera woman was filming as I'm picking this stuff up. And, I just, they captured this part where I'm just like, little by little, I'm able to come into this room. And, he talks about, that I made a vow to complete the room, to complete remodeling the room like we started. There are some people who it's a deeper level than that, where instances where I'm making dinner, not me personally, mind you, but I can hear somebody say, I make dinner, and I set a plate for the person who's gone. It's my way of keeping them close. I refuse, for the most part, to get rid of Devin. Listen to me, Patrick's clothing. But a lot of this is Devin. I want them when I grow up. All right, they're gonna. I hope you keep growing. But I've been able to, like, hey, can I have, like friend, close personal friends, piece, something that belonged to him. So I'm okay with here's this. Depending upon who it is, I get like jittery if someone touches something that belongs to him. Yeah, like my one grandson wears Uncle Pat's socks. And I'm, I'm okay with him. Anybody else,
Right.
I would have an issue. Like, don't touch his socks. Yeah. But yeah, believing that the person is still there, having the disorganized thinking, having the inattentiveness, bargaining to change the event, feeling like you can see or hear your loved one. Again, that's another huge one for me, because I joke all the time that I see, whether it's real or imagined, or whether it's coping. I don't know what label to put on it. But I will tell people, I swear I see Patrick in the kitchen, or I will look and I will see like the shadow going down the hallway, and I'm thinking, it's like, that's him. Now, whether it is it him actually? Is it my brain? This is my brain coping. Is it? Do I believe in spirits? I mean, on a level, from admitting I do. However, there are other people there. It's on a whole nother level. They're still, they're here. I know they're here. They're not gone. You can't convince me that they're gone. Or my grandchildren back in Kansas, some of them will say with Aiden, Aiden is here in Florida visiting me, rather than Aiden's gone.
Saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I too. I have moments where, just like out of the corner of my eye, it's just like, there's Bobby, and there's a restaurant that we used to go to, and actually the last several years, that's where we would go for my birthday, which is also our anniversary. And so whenever I go there, I don't think I've gone there the last couple of years around that date because of this, but when I would go there, I'd order what I would usually get, and I'd order an extra Budweiser. And I tell the waitress, I said, just bring me, a Budweiser, and just set it right here. I said, you're going to think it's weird, but to me it's not. And I don't drink it. It just sits there. And that's just, anytime I go to that restaurant, that's what I do.
And, to that point, like when in this chapter where, she talks about, ways to cope, participate in all the rituals associated with the loss. Basically you need to, be able to have the opportunity to say goodbye. And I look at it as more than just you saying goodbye. It is also on another level, keeping that person's memory alive. 'Cause some people think, okay, they're gone, get over it.
Yeah,
And
I don't look at it as ever being able to say, per se, saying goodbye.
Right.
It's just, that's not a concept for me.
And it's not for a lot of people. What I hear, and I'm not going to throw certain people under the bus, when I was like, all right, this person said this to me. There are some people who, they're gone. It's like once the service is over and the casket is closed or the urn is closed, or whatever happened, once you walk out of whatever service you had, it's done.
That's
or
it.
move over, and that you can't do that. For me, for instance, one of my rituals that I still do to this day, that was clean the garage to destroy the garage. Clean the garage and then go make a mess in it. So I just cleaned this garage. Because and I tell people, that's I'm keeping the tradition. This is what Pat and I used to do. We'd clean the garage, and then the next following week we go, didn't we just clean this garage? We did. I guess we're gonna clean it again. And it's a way, to kind of keep them connected. My neighbor, who's also my best friend, he made the comment to me. He said, your garage he calls it organized chaos, but it's organized chaos that gives you something to focus on. And, I'll find the quote, because how he said it, I'm like, dude, there's some truth in that, but then I think I have to have organized chaos in my life, even before Pat. But, yeah, having, the rituals, even if, then it says here, even if you don't believe the loss has occurred, you still can find ways to say goodbye to the person so you can continue living your own life. I think when I think of that one, it brings me back to military members, people who are MIA, and it's like for family that closure has not happened because there isn't a body to say goodbye to,
Right.
or people who whether even to take it off veterans, people whose loved ones have disappeared, and it's like for all intents and purposes, I think they're gone. And it's like, I'm not going to accept this, at the same time, developing a way to process, like hoping for the best, but you're preparing for the worst.
Right.
I like that.
Well, like with your garage thing, me is our yard. Mowing our yard or getting up on the roof, blowing off the roof. Because those were Bobby's jobs. And, granted, I probably should have somebody go up and blow off my roof for me, but I'm just not there yet. And doing our yard, so I have an acre and a half of lawn. He could do the whole yard in a day. It would be a really long day, but he could do the whole yard in a day. Me, it takes me 2 or 3 days to do the yard. But I'm not in a hurry to do it either because it's another connection, to him that I need. And like my sister-in-law, my husband's youngest sister, on the anniversary of his death the last few years, and it's just kind of a tradition that we started making is that we refresh his memorial garden, and that always, it makes you feel good. It makes it look nice, feel close to him. I'm doing it with his sister, but still, even in that quote, saying goodbye, that's just not in me to it. It's a different way, It's kind of like, and we used to do this before he passed away. We really never, when we left to go somewhere and we weren't together, we never really said goodbye.
Right.
We never said goodbye. We always said, "Well, see you later," see you when you get back, or whatever. We did not say goodbye, and so I think maybe that partially comes from that too, is that we never say goodbye.
And it's interesting because same here. If I'm, like when I go, going back to the Midwest to visit, Carl and Kira and the kids back there. And it was one thing, right, we don't say goodbye. So like, goodbye, don't say goodbye. Goodbye means I'll never see you again. And some people do have that, that belief, no, I'll see you again, just not here, depending on what your beliefs are. I'm not going to say, goodbye. And I think when I was at Patrick's service, and I, was saying my piece, I looked at him, I just said, rest easy, baby boy, I'll see you on the other side, or something like that. So yeah, you're right. A lot of people's like, even, when it's not connected to a loss, that word goodbye or two, some people say it's like one word or two, but
it's
that word, that word goodbye does not come out of people's mouths.
Yeah. No, we were that way for, we were together for almost 30 years, and it just wasn't something that we did. That was just our thing, one of our many things,
and to with this, the one where it says, get in touch with nature. I was like, there's the walk.
There's the walk
yeah. Coming up. As, we're winding this down. What was the other one? Having, events that, commemorate the person, like for Aiden, for example, last year they did or for the first anniversary, they went to escape room, because Aiden was a master at puzzles and whatnot. So, disbelief, it is a real thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to, there's nothing wrong with us for dealing with the shock and.
Well, yeah, and a lot of it, that's what it is because when you have, traumatic events, and it doesn't even have to be, traumatic events like ours. There's many others that falls into this disbelief, and you have that. It's human nature. It's hard to believe, this couldn't have happened, and then going back to your head, but yeah, but it did, but how's it going to get through to here?
Right, and it's important, that, people understand how each individual processes, grief and loss. As we've said a bunch of times, it is an individual, journey, and to, that point, also recognizing that the resources are out there. You have, the National Suicide Line, you have the crisis lines.
We have the helplines, if Rob could put, So we have all those helplines, and please put these numbers in your cell phone. You never know when you or somebody else are going to need them. When I had begun to go out to speak to groups, I take out your cell phone and please put this number in your cell phone. You never know. You might be that person to be there just at the right time when someone needs you.
Absolutely.
So, again, here we are. Thanks for joining us this week, and join us next week. And remember, there's always hope.